G'day guys, Glenn Twiddle here with another total success interview. And I tell you, I may have interviewed Arnold Schwarzenegger, Richard Branson, Gary, there's a who's who been on this show. And I know that some of you may know this guy as the legend, but in my opinion, this is one of my, I'm probably more nervous now than I was interviewing Arnold Schwarzenegger when it comes to the greatest living marketer on the planet right now. If there was a WWF title, I know he's sitting there cringing. I know.
Great. Now it's great.
This is Frank Kern, folks. In my opinion, the world's finest living marketer and copywriter. Dude, thanks for hanging with me, man.
Thanks for having me. I've already forgotten which one we're looking at. Are we
looking at it's that one, actually.
One? Okay, okay, we're looking at that one.
So I was looking at that one, actually.
Yeah,
so yeah, guys, we're here. Anyway, this is Frank. Dude, thanks for having me, hanging out for 2 days with me, man.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a good time.
Wow. Naturally an introvert, and yet the brain on this man, if I could somehow transplant it, I would pay him good money for that brain.
It would come with so much neuroses, though. You know what I mean? Yeah, you would be like, please take it back. Because you'd be like, the transplant would occur to me like, oh, I've got these marketing ideas. Oh my God, they're all trying to kill me. So I wouldn't do it if I were you.
Well,
Keep it in your own brain. It's working pretty good.
Here's the problem with me introducing you to my people. They're going to see where I get all my ideas.
They're going to be like, we like Branson better. Where's Branson? Where's Schwarzenegger
Where's that Richard dude?
Who is this guy?
This guy's a guy going to add some serious value. But look, I've been banging on about how much I'm gushing along. Tell us, though, what made you the world's greatest marketer? Like, what led you to this? You know what I mean? What was that backstory? Because mine was, I hated cold calling. I could not accept the rejection of hello and getting told to piss off so often, right? Couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I don't care for that either.
You don't like that?
So thank you for that compliment. I do disagree. I'm not the world's greatest marketer, although it might say so in my propaganda. So if it does, it must be true, right? So, but great use of presupposition there in the framing of the question.
Well, I flew around the world to see you, brother. So.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I got started the same way you did. So I was a door-to-door credit card machine salesman, and there was one. And first of all, I was a door-to-door credit card machine salesman because if you have no marketable skills of any kind and no education, you'll do construction, which I did roofing. You'll work in food service, which I did. I was a line cook. I was a pizza delivery guy. You'll do like menial stuff, and eventually, if you want to make money, you'll go the only possible thing you can other than crime or something, which is sales.
Sales and marketing.
Right? Yeah. And then if you're no good at inside sales, which I was horrible, then you go to the last resort, is door to door. You know, so it's like you're really an amazing person or that is your last hope. Wow. And so I was at the last hope level. Wow. So I'm door to door. And I really am like a level 7 million introvert. Like it's so hard for me to go into a room full of strangers and introduce myself, but I'm like, well, shit, I got nothing else I can do. So I'm going to try this door-to-door thing. And strangely, I wasn't very good at it as an introvert, you know. So I remember one day, I was selling credit card machines, and I was the unpopular. Actually, I wasn't unpopular in high school, but I was like the least likely to succeed in high school growing up because I just partied constantly. So I had plenty of friends.
And we've compared surnames before. Glenn Twiddle,
yes.
Your surname at that time.
Yeah, was Tittle.
It was Tittle.
Yeah, which is just a really badass sounding name. And my first name legally is Irwin, so technically I was Irwin Tittle.
Wow.
Which talk
Glenn
about
Twiddle, I still win in the bad names department.
I still win. So? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm in there, so I'm going door to door, and I go into this restaurant, and I see people I had graduated high school with. And now I'm in like my 20s, like my mid-20s or something, you know? And these dudes were in medical schools, and they're like real people. And when I was in high school with them, they would look at me like, this guy's such an idiot, you know? And then I see them, and I look at them, and they look at me, and they're like, oh shit, it's Kern. Or should we say hi, you know? Like, or should we just be, no? And I'm like, hey, how's it going, you know? And now I'm thinking, please don't do anything stupid to embarrass yourself with these people you've been embarrassing yourself in front of for like 10 years consecutively. And naturally, I get literally thrown out of the restaurant in front of the people. Wow. Right? And so I'm like yelled at by the restaurant owner, like, get the hell out of here, we're busy, you idiot, and all this kind of stuff. Because you're cold calling, there's no appointment. And contrary to popular belief, no one's just standing around hoping you'll come in and sell them things. Especially, apparently, it's very bad form to do it at a restaurant when it's
at rush hour.
Yeah, I was unaware of this, you know. And so then I look at them, and they're watching me being thrown out of the thing. And that day, I go back to the little office I had and got online. It was before Google, I think. It was 1999. It was October of 1999. And I typed in a search for how to sell credit card machines online. And that's when I saw an ad for internet marketing.
Wow.
And I clicked on the ad, and I bought the course that says you can get rich on the internet, and it worked.
Okay.
Yeah, it took a long time for it to work because,
Wow.
of course, naturally I didn't follow any of the directions.
Yeah.
You know, apparently you can't just hold the course and it
And
absorbs it. Yeah, that's
mutates by
stupid.
osmosis.
You're supposed
Damn
to,
courses.
supposed to read them and follow the directions, just like you're supposed to use the exercise equipment in your house, which is so dumb. But yeah, so that's how the whole thing started.
Wow.
You know?
And similarly to myself, I added it up a couple of years ago, 7,000 hours of listening to you, your mate, and we'll talk about him in a moment, Uncle Tony, of course, mean old Uncle Dan,
Yes,
Kennedy, but 7,000 hours. It probably should have only taken 700. That shows how dumb I am.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
but-
I don't. I think you should listen to another 7,000.
Yeah, well, I am.
still
I'm
do
here
every
now.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day I listen to this stuff. Every single
So
day.
talking about Tony, I mean, your prominence certainly came to me in various ways when my mentors like Tony Robbins and like Dan Kennedy all mentioned this guy Frank Kern. Tell us about, I'd love to know about Tony, because what's interesting that I've found about Tony is, and this is without disrespecting a moment of what he's done, but you were making revelations to arguably one of the greatest speakers and kind of people in our business in history, and here he is saying, really, Frank, you can do this thing? Tell us about that relationship and how that evolved.
Yeah, that was awesome. So a mutual friend of Tony's and mine decided that it would be interesting to Tony to get a bunch of internet marketing people and say, look, Tony, look at these clowns
have
and
the
see
program.
what they can do.
Yeah.
You know, and so I go in there to meet him, and it's me and a fellow named Mike Koenigs, and Jeff Walker was there, and I think Mike Filsame was there, and I'm blanking out on who else was there. And we go, and we're like, holy crap, dude, we're all about it. And everyone's a huge Tony fan, right? And so I'm like freaked out. You know, I'm like, what if he can read my mind or something? You know, 'cause
Which clearly he can if you listen to Shallow Hal.
Dude, I mean, you never know. So I'm there, and he comes in, and everyone's going around and like saying what they do, and he's like, "What about you?" And I show up in this thing. At the time, I had long white blonde hair because I surfed every day.
Surfy Frank.
Yeah, it was so much fun. You know, that was before I had this notion of personal responsibility, and before I realized you're supposed to like pay taxes and raise your children well, and all this other stuff that they don't tell you about.
What was that old shit?
Yeah, you know, and so I'm there, and I'm in this shirt and like jeans and flip flops, and he's like, "What about you?" And I said, "Well, obviously, aside from my modeling career, I do marketing stuff." And he thought it was funny, you know, because everyone was trying to impress him and everything. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to impress this guy at all, so I'm just going to have a good time, you know, because I'm figuring it's only a matter of time before he throws us out of here. So I might as well enjoy myself and just accept the fate.
Kind of how I'm feeling here, Frank.
Yeah,
you know
it's
that.
like, so you're bigger than me. But anyway, we immediately got along, right? Because he thought it was funny, and I like Tony a lot. So we just started this dialogue, and I'm like, well, dude, you know, have you ever considered selling to business people because we really need your help? I'm one of them, and like you're very good at this, and we would listen to you. And he's like, well, all right, you know. So we created the New Money Masters program. Well, he created it, but you know, I mean, it was all him. But I kind of helped him create that and stuff.
I have the box at home.
Yeah, yeah. And strangely, if you hold it to your head, the material will not go.
It won't go in. No, you have to bloody listen to the
You have to get two copies.
But that
and
is
put
where I
one
introduce.
copy. Yeah, you
really?
have to tape
So
it.
you hear and Phil saying,
Yeah, you got to tape it to your head, and then you have to wear it for like a month.
No, that was my intro to Frank Kern as a personality. So.
And working with him, I didn't charge anything. You know, I was just like, dude, I just want to do it because you know you talk about the human needs and one of them's contribution.
Yep.
So for me, I think his message is so powerful. I was like, you know, this is how I can contribute, is I can help him get this message out. So there's no money involved. I won't take anything. You know, Tony needs something. I'm like, forget it, I'm not taking it.
Most of us would take my money, Tony, for me to do that. You know?
Yeah,
Michael Jordan doesn't pay for tennis shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I didn't take any money
well
for
done.
Tony to do it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something about working with him is it really is exactly in person like he is on stage. He's the nicest guy. He's the coolest dude ever, and he's a dude, right? So he's like the kind of dumb stuff that we joke around about. Like he will like sit around and have like normal dude conversations with you. He's the absolute coolest guy.
Wow.
100% what you see on stage is what you get with him.
Nice.
So can't speak highly enough about the dude.
Ditto.
You know, there's always that thing like, is this guy really going to be as cool as I always thought he was? And the answer is he's actually cooler, and he's funny, and he's a good guy.
Ditto, mate.
So
I'll
it was
tell you,
great.
I've loved hanging out with. You know what? It's funny how every celeb that I've hung out with, including yourself for the last couple of days.
I'm a fake celebrity. I don't even count. I manufactured it through
But
advertising.
I think there's something to the fact that you're successful and that maybe not to the degree that we are, the Schwarzeneggers, the Bransons, the Kerns, the Robbins, I think it's inherent that kind of that is a commonality.
I think if Schwarzenegger, Branson, and Tony saw this, they'd be like, why are you lumping us in with this guy? Wait a minute, this doesn't count. We're real celebrities. He's not come on. So I think they're going to get mad at us.
Maybe they don't watch my stuff, but let's give some real value if I can, because I know I'm holding Frank up from $1 billion deal. Right, $1 billion deal.
I don't think it's really going to be $1 billion deal, but it's
but
a
let
pretty
me
important
ask
client.
you about I need to ask you just one thing about the concept, as revelationary as it is, and that's your billionaire mate calling us right now.
No, I don't think it's that.
But the concept of this sneaky, subversive, almost should be illegal principle.
Probably is illegal.
Of heaven forbid, showing someone that they can help you and convincing them, tricking them that you can help them by, heaven forbid, actually helping them.
Yeah.
Tell us about that principle.
Yeah, it is revolutionary. No, so I always joke around about this with my clients and my audience. I say, well, it's time to use the old demonstrate you can help them by actually helping them trick. Yes, that'll teach them. We'll help them, and then we'll offer to help them some more. And it came actually from my grandmother. So my grandmother was very, very religious, and she was like, you always need to follow the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think that's the golden rule. God, she's come back from the grave and see me misquote that, she would kill me. So I started to think about it, and I realized that there's 3 ways you can influence somebody, all right? And it doesn't matter what capacity you're trying to influence them. Way number 1 is, and let's say we're trying to influence them into thinking we're cool, right? So way number 1 is to talk about how cool we are, right?
That's bound to work.
Yeah, well, in some cases
Someone might
it
believe.
can. Yeah, and so all of these methods work, right? So number 1 is talk about how cool you are. Number 2 is to get other people to talk about how cool you are, right? Let's go get a bunch of testimonials or whatever, and that works too. Yeah. And show them by symbols that you're cool or something.
Okay.
Well, look at all my trappings, therefore I must be cool. The other one is to demonstrate how much you can help them by actually freaking helping them, right? So if you demonstrate you can help them by actually helping them, you don't have to convince anyone of anything. And I'm not very good at selling. I don't enjoy it at all. So I prefer to engineer a situation where someone's like, man, that was awesome. Would you do more of that, please? And so it's really, that whole system of selling came from me not liking to sell and not liking rejection. And instead I decided it was a much easier process to just engineer a situation where someone was like, would you kindly continue doing this helping me business? Yeah. And then, yes, my nefarious plan has worked. I have helped you, and now you want me to continue to help you. And it's a pretty good marketing tactic.
Definitely. Yeah. Without having, I've studied probably, I would say, hundreds of hours of Kern, and here's the thing that I hate. Every time I implement anything that this man taught me, it puts money in the bank account, so hence I fly around the world to hang with him.
Results not typical, your results may vary, nothing of this
That's right, we're not allowed to say that.
There's absolutely no possibility of anything ever good happening to anyone that listens to my stuff, and no one should listen to me under any circumstances ever.
For any reason.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
Never.
I love it, you've got that disclaimer
Yes.
memorized. Let me ask you though, for our specific real estate crew, having worked with every industry that exists, is there any way of, because with real estate it's a transactional thing, meaning they need us once every 5 years, they need our audience once every 5-7 years, and nothing really in between. Is there a way to demonstrate you can actually help them without actually helping them, that principle, when it is such a long transactional period between $10,000 checks?
Well, that business is really, there's 2 functions, right? You get listings and you get buyers.
Yeah.
Right?
And in Australia, it's mainly listings. It's interesting in Australia, we don't even focus on the buyers. Certainly here in America, and I've got some American mates, they talk about the double end. It's all listings in Australia.
That makes your job even easier. Yeah. So you just need to get listings. So we look at, all right, well, what is the process by which we get a listing? And that's typically going to be, you need to get a listing appointment. Right, I would assume over there. Yeah, absolutely. Is that what happens? Yeah. So then what is the precursor to a listing appointment, which is they decide that I think I'm going to call this person for a listing appointment. And so then if you look at what normally happens is you get a cold call or something, or maybe you get a postcard in the mail, or maybe you are referred. So even before I would start thinking about that long tail thing, I would be like, okay, there's probably going to be a percentage of the market who is going to be interested in selling their home within the next 30 to 90 days. And so before even generating that, like, how do I be the guy they think about in 5 years? I would look at that lower hanging fruit and outperform everyone else who's trying to get to that lower hanging fruit. Because most of those people are not doing it right, right? Most of them are either cold calling or doing nothing or working on referrals and just hoping. Right, I'm assuming that's how it is over here.
Absolutely,
so is that what's going on over there? Yeah, great.
Very much. Maybe some odd letterbox drops and
yeah,
not much
I
else.
exist.
Certainly
right?
none
and
of
the message is going to be, I've been serving Brisbane since 1973.
I'm your local #1 area expert. And
Yeah, I mean, because that's really compelling, right? And so I actually learned this idea from a guy named Dean Jackson, who's a brilliant, brilliant guy here in the States that helps realtors. And he's like, well, you know, if you think about what someone is going to want before selling a house, usually it's going to be a question of what can I sell my house for, right? And there's likely other information in that realm as well. But just to use this, because I'm literally stealing from Dean right now, but he's not
Thanks,
here.
man.
Yeah, he's not. So, well, you know, I mean, hey, but if I steal it from Dean and you steal it from me,
Maybe
then
that's
it becomes
only-
yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the. I think that's copyright law. I'm pretty sure if it's triple stolen,
I love it.
then yeah. So now it's yours. So just steal it from me. And
I love the Kern logic. That's awesome.
I don't think that's really legal.
Not going to hold up. Remember that disclaimer Frank
Yeah,
said
I think
before?
it's really
Consider
legal.
that reinforced.
Yeah. But so like seriously, like you have to think, all right, what is it that they would want to know prior to listing a house?
Like a tell in poker.
Well,
like
or
seeing
something that would
some
benefit
indicator?
them. Something that would benefit them.
Yeah.
Right? So what Dean would tell you is, well, they're going to want to know what their house is worth. Right? So if they want to know what their house is worth, a really simple thing would be to put out an ad that says, let's just say the neighborhood is called like Willow Creek. I'm just making that neighborhood up. You know, like for public release, free report for Willow Creek residents reveals, past 7 months of housing price sales. And who is the only person who's going to want that?
Yeah.
Somebody who's interested in selling their house, right? So then they ask for that type of thing. And then once you have their contact information, then you can just do the unthinkable, which is to continue to help them by like sending them another piece of information, which is 7 ways to increase the value of your house without spending any money, or 5 ways to increase the likelihood of your house selling, faster without spending. And I don't even know what any of these things would be because I'm not a real estate guy, but I'm just like, what can you do to benefit them? So now when they get the call from you, or maybe they don't have to get the call from you, maybe they just call you to implement some of these suggestions that you're helping with them, they're predisposed to already want to do the listing with you.
I love it.
Yeah.
And thinking about, a lot of our guys will go to the, would you like a free appraisal? I hope you guys spotted how Frank masterfully, that's why I love his copywriting chops, how you just changed the words
I
a
really
tiny
stole
bit.
it from Dean.
Yeah.
It's just
But it's
like-
changed. Sometimes little tweaks in words matter. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
you've seen that.
absolutely.
But we do have to get Frank to his appointment. I'm serious that he does have a seriously important client. So guys, frankkern.com, and I'm remiss to even tell you that because this is one of my secret weapons that I've held closely guarded for years. Dude, thank you so much, not only for tonight, but for the last couple of days, dude. It has literally been if not the, no, you know what? It has been the most next level training I've ever been at. Mate, it's been an honor to hang with you personally,
right.
professionally.
I think we did some good work
We've
too. I
done
think we
some great work.
simplified a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
Well,
great.
thanks for watching this, you guys. And
Go get some, is there some freebies at frankkern.com? Is there some
there's
goodies?
there's
You
articles
always
and
give shit.
stuff
See,
and
guess
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Frank employs that principle of helping you by actually, showing you can help you by helping you. Go get some free stuff. frankkern.com. Mate, get to your meeting and thank you
Yeah.
man, for everything.
See you later, guys.
You're a cheer.
All right. Take it easy.
Until next time, folks. Bye for now.